Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So if you have accepted that you're weird, feel free to stay, and by stay I mean make sure that you hit subscribe and turn on post notifications so you are notified every single time I upload a video. So today's topic is going to be talking about breakups, in particular breakups. So when it comes to, I mean, like, it can be a romantic relationship, a friendship. That's the only two I can think of. The reason why I've only brought this, right, like, I've had to deal with like in 2020 I've had to like break up like 3 friendships, like not somebody else's friendship but like my own. Not really like the people were aware it was a breakup, or like they're even aware that I was like ending the relationship or the friendship, but it just happened. People always like to talk about this thing of that toxic relationships only happen when it comes to relationships, because people are toxic because they manipulate, they do this, they're abusive, they do that, blah blah. But the same things also happen in friendships when it comes to breaking up with people. But one thing I gotta stress, when people are told, people are really bad at this. I don't understand why. When you're told no contact period or there's 0 contact period, people are really bad at that, and the only thing that it only applies to relationship, like romantic relationships. But it's like, no, it doesn't only apply to romantic relationships. The 0 contact thing also applies to friendships as well, because the reason why you broke up with that person, the reason why you're no longer wanting to be with them, what's the reason? Try and remember that reason every single time when you're trying to go back to them. It's the same, like, people try and treat breakups of romantic and friendships to be different. It's the same concept. If I end up saying that I do not want you in my life, just know this: I do not want to know about you, because you no longer exist to me. I don't want to know about your family, your ancestors, your dogs, your cats, your unborn child. You do not exist to me. Okay, that's my version of 0 contact. That's the only way you will be able to move forward. And this whole business of screaming like, you need closure, you need closure. You do not need to actually see someone to gain closure. Some of you, it might just be a case of that you actually need to forgive yourself for having stuck through some of the shit you decided to stick through. Never thought of it, did you? But that's the truth. You actually just need to look at, it's like literally evaluate the whole relationship. When a relationship goes right, and it doesn't work out anymore, both of you, the people involved, had a part to play in it. It's not all down to one person. For me and my friendships I had to end last year, I can say one of them, I trusted the person way too soon than I should have, like with information that I, like, to this day I'm like, I'm fine, I'm not accepting any friendship request at all. Trusted that person way too soon with information that thought that person's maturity level and mine matched, but it wasn't. That was my mistake, that I played on that part. So I trusted them way too soon and told them information that they weren't prepared to hear, nor did they have knowledge of or an understanding of, nor did they have the maturity to treat it with the sensitivity that it required. That was my fault on that one. The next one, the person was willing to live with the toxic friendships that they have with other people. So on this one, it's now more of a case of, was I going to choose to say that I want to stick around and stay within being friends with this person purely because I'm trying to be there for them, I'm seeing things for them that they're not seeing, but then it's like, am I going to put my own sense of being at risk in the name of saying that I'm trying to help them? You can only want something for someone for so long. You can only want to help them. You can only be pointing out the literal red flags that are in their faces. You can point it out for so long before you get to the point where you're just like, you know what? I can't anymore. Like, I tried. And I get to the point where I realize that this is not adding value to my life. It's not serving me in any way. It's probably taking me a few steps back from something that I've tried to make my way, like work my way up from. Like I said, I don't want to know about your unborn child. That was the case with that second relationship that I had to end, because I give and give and give, and then it just gets to the point where it does this person even realize? Like, that's what I'm saying, that like people try and look at relationships and thinking that like friendships, and they're trying to treat them as if they're any different form of relationship as opposed to a romantic one. It is more or less the same. You know, when someone has been like friends with with people for a while, right? And then you become like the new friend in the group. So as me with a new set of eyes, I have obviously a new perspective on how the whole friendship group is in terms of like in who interacts with who, this and that, who is the manipulative one, who is the crybaby, who is the look down on other people, who's the high and mighty, who's the holy one, because that's typical of a friendship group. Like there's typical stereotypical kind of people. I'm seeing all this, right? And it's like, obviously me coming in, I'm basically like an outsider. I'm looked at as, you don't know what you're on about. But literally that friendship, as time went on, everything I said just like unfolded one after the other. But then when it came to the case that like this person was literally like in dire need, like all these people that she'd been calling friends, all these people that she's been screaming about, like, oh, like the person will be posting about them on all their socials, doing this, doing that. Baby girl, all I can tell you that those people that you still cling on to, their acquaintances, they're not your friends. Like that's, I've been telling you this since day one. I don't even know if you're watching this, but I've been telling you this since day one, that they're acquaintances and that you need to be careful with them. That friendship ended purely because it was just that they were in toxic friendships with other people, and then purely because they couldn't stand not being around those people. Whenever I would be interacting with them, those people would always find their way to weave into whatever thing that we'll be getting up to, and then that whole toxic vibe then rubs on, and to an extent it was like the gateway through to it eating away and chirping away at our friendship was through that person, because they didn't realize that this is what these people are doing to them. No matter how many times I pointed it out, that friendship had to end. Last one that had to end was purely just based on my communication style. My fault on it was I gave an impression of that I communicate in a particular way when I did not, which was really bad, like really bad. I made it seem as if, because if you're friends with me, what you'd have to know is the case of that I can go a month or 2 months without actually having a phone call conversation with you, and we'll still be fine. It won't be a problem. Like the friend I've had for the longest time, I've been friends with her for like 15 years. She could tell you this. Like some people are still surprised to this day when they hear that I'm still friends with her. They're like, how? Okay. Moment of self-reflection. When I brought this and presented this to the person, it came across as I, on my end, was saying, do you feel the need of that we need to talk on the phone on a daily basis? On their end, when I reflect on it, I realized that it came across as if I'm saying to them that they are needy. Of which that was not what I was saying. My intention was not received well. For me, it was more of a, I gave you, that was my biggest fault in this, was that I gave you an idea of how I wanted you to perceive me as. But then it was more of like, I was that way to you. I was more on the, yes, I will talk to you on a daily because there was something going on in your life. So I was like, okay, I felt I needed to be there for you. And the way for me to be there for you was for me to be communicating with you on a day, to just make sure that I check in with you because of how far apart we live. We don't live in the same country. But in doing so, I was like, okay, I don't want to make this person think that I can maintain this. I don't want to make them, give them false hope to think that I can maintain this for who knows however long we're going to be friends for, and have them make it be an expectation of that, like we're going to be talking like this every single day. It was draining for me. Like I'm not gonna lie, it was draining. Like it was actually draining for me. Like it was not something that I was like I can keep up with at all. So on my end, I played that. That was my reasoning for why that had to end, which is unfortunate, because to them they felt that like obviously I wasn't a friend that they deserved, and yada yada yada. I'm not gonna get into it, but that's what happened. And it's just decided, like became a thing of that. On my end, I just decided, you know what, I'm not gonna fight this, because the amount of times where I've hinted and even got to the, because I hinted so many times before I got to the point where I was like, okay, do you, when I tried to have that conversation of like, do you feel like you need to talk on a daily basis, I would have thought that they would have got it, but they didn't, clearly. So I was just like, you know what, not every friendship that you have is meant to be lasting for the rest of your life. With every relationship that you go through, you're supposed to learn something. With any person that you come across, you interact with them, whether it's an acquaintance or you like build up a friendship or whatever from that, you're supposed to learn something about yourself from it. That's the main take up of this. So when it comes to breakups, and the common thing that all these friendships had was that I met all these people on social media. So I don't know if that potentially but then again, that's the thing these days, isn't it? Like, people meet each other on social media and stuff. But anyways, but that's basically the main take up from this that I just wanted to share or vent about, is that like with breakups, is that it's not as one-sided as most people like to think it is. You kind of need to take it upon yourself to like reflect and think, okay, so what part did I play in this? Because believe me, you did play a part. I know you don't want to hear it, but you did play a part. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to share it, and if you feel that anyone can benefit from this video anyway, anyhow, feel free to share it as well. Make sure you comment like down below if you have anything to say, or share if you've had like any similar experiences. I'm always willing and ready to read the comments. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to share for this video, and until next time, I will see you then. Bye.